Greetings one and all, and thank you for the responses to my last video. I had quite a few emails about that, but I want to say one word. Gurdjieff is the educator of Beelzebub's sons, according to All and Everything, the book written by Mr. Gurdjieff. I do not see myself as a teacher of the Gurdjieff writings or work. I just feel I'm passing on information. You are the ones that need to take this information and go forwards and educate yourselves. And to do this, it's like knocking at a door, isn't it? We knock at the door and ask Mr. Gurdjieff if we can come in, and if we are worthy, we will begin to understand the writings of Mr. Gurdjieff. And I just wanted to read a little bit from All and Everything, and this is about having the possibility. We all have the possibility to educate ourselves with the help of Mr. Gurdjieff's writings and other people that have discussed Mr. Gurdjieff and his great work. But Gurdjieff writes, you, having the possibility of acquiring in yourselves both chief fundamental, universal, sacred laws, have the full possibility also of coating yourselves with this most sacred part of the great all-embracing of everything existing, and of perfecting it by the required divine reason. And this great all-embracing of all that is embraced is called holy prana. And we do have the possibility of coating ourselves if we work upon ourselves, the exercises that Gurdjieff gives us in his books and writings, and you can read many of the meetings that he had, whether they were in Paris or in America or in Fontainebleau. Many people have written them down, and you can read them and understand how other people's asked questions. And sometimes when I read them books, something I'm pondering on actually comes up in the part I'm reading. It's like I'm kind of shown where to look for the answer, which is very wonderful. You know, when you're starting doing this work, the right things come to you. But what is holy prana? It's discussed quite a lot in theosophy and anthroposophy and the Indian teachings. And normally it's talked about as working with the breath. And the breath is, of course, what helps us to live. We need to breathe to live. It's a life-giving force. And it says on a dictionary I had that prana is seen as a universal energy which flows in currents in and around the body. And this is something Gurdjieff is pointing towards, that we need to work towards connecting our prana with the divine so that we have the correct kind of prana running through us, rather than the mechanical prana of the everyday breath taking that we're having with the mechanical world. We want to be part of the more harmonious workings of the universe. And Gurdjieff goes on to say in another part of All and Everything, great nature has given him the possibility of being not merely a blind tool, but of working at the same time also for himself, for his own egoistic individuality. Now, we'd all like teachers to show us the way. Gurdjieff's given us pointers. We have other great masters like the Christ and Buddha and such like. And, you know, hopefully you are working in Gurdjieff groups, if there are any in your area that are helping you to work upon yourself. But at the same time, a lot of this is our own inner pondering, reflection. Discussed that in my last show. And again, opening that door within yourself that's going to take you to a deeper look at yourself, a deeper realization of who you are and how mechanical you can be, and how to break all that programming. We have to remind ourselves that we should be working consciously in a more awakened state, so that we're taking in all the right emanations that are working around the universe in the harmonious, mechanical, the harmonious workings of the planet and the universe, and how it's all connected as it goes up the hierarchies to the divine. So we should consciously taking in and coating in ourselves that common presence that is all that is holy. We're working towards being a part of the divine, well, way of the universe. We want to be more awake so that we are part and help alleviate the sorrow of our divine source, the sorrow of our great Father who's really unhappy that everybody's asleep. And Gurdjieff writes, you were created with the possibility of consciously coating in your presence the higher sacred. So we have that chance to develop ourselves, to perfect ourselves, and ultimately to blend with the prime cause of everything existing. And he gives various, obviously his own words that he puts towards that to help understand how this whole process works. We all have that chance to acquire what Gurdjieff says is the kernel of their essence, that kernel seed that's within us. He says everybody has the seed of the soul in them when they're born. It's whether we develop it that it grows, and that's what we're trying to grow, our soul, and at the same time to connect with our conscience. And he says conscience, the data for the possibility of the acquisition of which great nature has endowed them with as godlike beings in differentiation from mere animals. We're reaching up to the higher. Though I love animals, and Gurdjieff loved animals, as he says, one of the divine laws is to love everything that breathes, and that includes the animals, and nature of this planet is crying out for us to love them so they can love us back, and we can all help develop together, including the planet Earth, which is also on an evolutionary path. We want to develop our acquisition for being our true self, of perfecting ourselves. This is all part of what this work is, for the self-perfecting of our higher being parts. And he says later of having any real objective hope for the future, and this is the objective hope for the future of not just humanity, but as I say, the planet. Everything is developing. Even the animals have the opportunity to evolve and be involved in this. We all have the possibility and the ability of intensively actualizing ourselves. And this is what we should be working towards, actualizing ourselves, taking action to stop being automatons and instead being conscious, living beings. He talks a lot about being actualization, and that's what we should be working towards. We're spending a lot of time not seeing and feeling the reality, and we should be working towards seeing and feeling the reality so that we can help to serve the higher purposes. And them higher purposes will give us, well, I was going to say a reason to live then, which in a way it is, rather than being asleep and just drifting through life. We want to be working on the higher form of ourselves so that we're part of the whole workings of the divine. Of perfecting ourselves so that we're serving nature, so that we're serving humanity, we're serving the divine, we're serving our planet and the whole universe. And of course the possibility of acquiring and having divine objective reason. That's so important, that objective reason to develop within ourselves. And Gurdjieff talks a lot about all the different gradations of reason. We need to become part of the reasoning within ourselves, that we become aware, self-aware. But he does talk about 3 kinds of being reason, which are pure. We want to be objective rather than automatic functioning. We should be free-centered beings of reason. Or maybe it's free-centered being reason. I can't remember the exact words he uses now. Objective reason, which should be in the common presences of free-brained beings of all natures and of all external forms, and which in itself is nothing else but, so to say, the representative of the very essence of divinity. When we have that objective reason, we're working with the divine, with the running of the universe. And he later goes on to say, the perfecting of objective reason can proceed in them only from personal conscious labours and intentional sufferings, which again we should be working towards. Intentional sufferings could be quite hard work sometimes, but it helps us to understand ourselves and to, well, it makes you aware of other people's sufferings as well, which really does help with your, I want to say, your understanding of why that person is acting like that. And we should be having manifestations that are intentional rather than robotic. We need to have our conscious labours so that we can, well, we're striving to become perfect, obviously, but the conscious labours and intentional sufferings help us to develop our part dog duty. I was trying to find my quote about intention. Where was it? Let me find it. Right. Together with the cessation of the intentional Together with the cessation of the intentional absorption of these definite cosmic substances necessary for the arising and existence of higher being parts, there disappeared from their common presences not only the striving itself for a perfection, but also for the possibility of what is called intentional contemplativeness, which is just the principal factor for the assimilation of those sacred cosmic substances. And that's what we should be trying to work with and connect with, the sacred cosmic substances. And Gurdjieff writes, the possibility of coating in your presence of that higher sacred, for the possible arising of which the whole of our now existing world was just created. And that's on page 195, all and everything. But to understand all this, you do need to read Beelzebub's Tales to his grandson, the whole book, from beginning to end. You know, and that will encourage you to carry out these tasks. It will also break your programming. It is amazing what that book can do. You know, this is to help us break the programming, the customs that we've been brought up with by our peers, and instead just wake up so that we can see what's really going on in the world and in life and what we should be doing. We need to put in conscious labours so that we can work towards the attainment of results for the purpose of common cosmic welfare. That's, you know, for ourselves, as I was saying, the planet or everything on it, and our connection to the divine and the whole running of the universe. So that we can work with the common Father Creator and be part of this common cosmic harmonious movement to help the whole universe, the cosmos. Let's just all be cosmic, people. In fact, I think I might leave it at that. It was just a little show today. But open them doors and walk through them. We all had the keys to open them through the Gurdjieff work, and I think many of us had them anyway because we've got that calling to do this, but it's just putting in them efforts to unlock the door, walk through and develop ourselves. It's kind of like in the mystery schools when they had the doors and above them would be, the first words would be know thyself, or in other ones abandon knowledge. What was it? Abandon all knowledge, those that enter here. Because knowledge comes in again different versions. There's the lower knowledge and higher knowledge, and it's higher knowledge we need to work towards, and we need to clear ourselves of all the mechanical knowledge. As Gurdjieff says, there were several who, with a sincerity proceeding from their separate spiritualized parts, strove for high knowledge only with the aim of self-perfection. That's us. That's what we should be doing. We should have that impulse for driving ourselves forward with knowledge and turning that knowledge into wisdom. You can have all the knowledge in the world, but you really need to turn that into wisdom. One of my favourite quotes from Gurdjieff is on page 50 of All and Everything. Those who lie in the sphere of idiocy, that is between sleep and drowsiness. Well, we don't want to be idiots. We don't want to be fools. We're trying to wake up. After we've gone through the door, walk down the path that helps us with the running, and helps the divine with the running of the universe. So let's all be cosmic peoples. Be cosmic! To the stars and back. Well, to the sun. It's sun work that we're supposed to be doing here. Gurdjieff talks a lot about the sun. He came here to sell solar panels, I nearly said then. Solar power. We should be working towards being sun beings, not sleepy moon beings. Though even the moon has the sun shining on it for most of its time in the sky. There's only a few days when there is no sun upon it. And of course, the divine source himself is in the most holy sun absolute. That's what he calls the heaven. It's where he resides. It's his dwelling place. So let's be sunbeams, everyone. And thanks for listening to my little ramblings. And my books are still available from my website or on Amazon. And until next time, I'd like to say, just shine like the sun.